Yes, indeed. As you may have heard today, INEC extends the deadline for the collection of the permanent voter cards. But we also continue our look and watch ahead of the elections. All the talk about non-violent elections is still very much in the burner. We're joined this morning by Chief Ulasi, who is the former chairman of the People's Democratic Party in Anambra State. Thank you for coming on this morning, sir.
Good morning, and thanks for inviting me.
Let's get your view, first of all, on what you think about the collection of the permanent voter cards. Now that INEC has extended it, are people coming up to collect down from the east?
You want me to be honest with that?
Sure.
It is very unfortunate that you see, this government, because of the outcry of Nigerians, gave, as it were, the Nigerian public a chance, and they eventually appointed an INEC chairman. And since he was appointed, every election there must be a reason given for one thing or the other. This election, the national election held last in 2011. And as a professor of political science, if he has a drawing board, he would have looked at this country and what our problems are in the office he's just been given. He needed only 1 or 2 years to set out a roadmap of what he wanted to do. And the most important factor of having a free election is for individuals to have their PVC. And under 2 weeks to the election, we are still talking. I was seeing your station talking about the former governor of old Kaduna State, talking about nearly 30 million people who have not yet gotten their own, whether it's true or not. Even if it is 1 million people, for one reason or the other, have not gotten their PVC, it is unfortunate. And this is exactly part of the reasons why there will be no free and fair election. The INEC has already set the map for confusion and violence.
Yeah, but now that they extended it.
Until it is done, until we now see that most Nigerians have gotten their PVC. They had extended before, and not much happened. I see people who still come up. People come to me to say they haven't had their PVC. You go there. Sometimes people demand money from you. A lot of things are happening in this country.
To collect their PVCs?
I'm telling you, you will not see the person who is supposed to do that job, and people will be running around looking for him or her. Finally, somebody will say, okay, we'll see him eating somewhere. And they go and do something, and suddenly they come out and work for 1 or 2 hours and disappear. If not, tell me why it is difficult. Simple PVC for citizens to get access to it.
But we also have a responsibility. If that kind of thing happens, yes, we have to report it to the highest or the resident electoral commissioner to take action.
If they don't know, you report. But this has been on the public purview for almost 2 or 3 months now. Virtually everybody has spoken about it. Even the Sultan of Sokoto said he hadn't gotten his own. So what kind of information do you want the ordinary person to give out than absolute incompetence? That you needed 4 years to make sure that Nigerians get the quality paper they will need to have to make a change in any direction they want.
Because really there must be someone for you to call, because as Chairman highlighted, someone must be there to really do the job.
Yes.
Last week we had the resident electoral commissioner right here in the studios, and some of us went to town and we saw the same scenario just painted. But because some people had his number, he was called and he spoke to them right there on phone, and they were told to come back from the weekend. In the case you just highlighted,
yes,
what is the REC doing? I'm quite sure you're talking about Anambra State.
So all over the country, not just Anambra. I mean, I've gotten my own PVC. I was lucky.
Those who come to complain to say they haven't seen anyone, I'm sure they are around your locality.
Yes, those who complain to me around my locality in Enugu, and I live in Enugu. I'm from Anambra, but I live in Enugu.
Until this moment, nothing has been done about that.
Well, I haven't heard from them again, because I told them if there are still problems, they should report to me. But they say they go there every day. They leave useful things they would do, either going to work or something, to go and spend 2 or 3 hours, and you don't see anybody. And it is deliberate. Once you spend 2 or 3 hours, they know you will be forced to go back and do whatever useful thing you want to do.
You know, with
so
this
whether
extension,
it is a ploy or what, it is difficult for me to explain. Why up till now we are still talking of PVC. And that's why I said, if the INEC chairman knew what he was supposed to do, this thing would have been completed 2 years ago. Because he had all the time. I think they have so much money in awarding contracts. That is what is happening there. They all immersed in awarding contract that nobody thinks of fundamental things to do, because they spend almost 60 billion procuring materials for these elections. And so once they get involved in awarding contract, nobody remembers that the most important people in this country for this process, Nigerian people to have their PVC, to be able to vote.
But
we haven't finished the problem. Once this passes, then the actual problem begins. Whether the materials will reach even the site where the voting will take place. This is the commonest.
Tell us, though, how was it to pick your own PVC? You said you were lucky.
I was very lucky.
But tell us,
very lucky.
How was it?
The first day they started, my younger brother in the village called me that they have started. The next day I drove with my wife. And it took me maybe about an hour and a half.
To collect your PVC?
To collect my PVC.
Did that include your wife as well?
Yes.
So there was no problem
there? No, there was no problem that day. I mean, there are places you go, there will be no problem.
Yes.
Would you like to see an extension now that they have said, well, it's been extended?
I doubt if they have a choice. There must be extension up to the 13th of February. So that there will be
further than on the 8th?
I mean, why the gap of 1 week? This is a right of Nigerians to have. So if they make it up to the 13th, at least we'll give the benefit of that anybody who was serious and wanted to collect PVC would have done so, unless this kind of reasons emerge that you go there and you don't see anybody to give you. But I think now they are getting worried about the public outcry. So people who are supposed to work there should work.
Chief, I recall that some states had given public holidays for workers, especially those in their employment, to go pick up their PVC. Would you want to see another of such getting maybe a day or two so that they can all go out?
If not public holidays, maybe closing work as early as 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock for 2 days to make sure that people collect their PVC, because it is so vital for this election that people should have their voting cards. That's the weapon with which they want to do anything. And if they don't have it, then I mean, all this we are talking is what fella will call a abyss. You just yab and you stay in your house. If you can't have the instrument of change, how do you make a change?
But from the look of things now, INEC has this meeting with political parties, briefing them, giving them updates. If they've got any misgivings, they're expected to table it at that time in one of those meetings. But from the look of things now, do you think that politicians, or maybe your party, feel strongly?
You know why when people talk of INEC, I don't want to comment about it. It will require a whole program of 1 or 2 hours to discuss INEC and tell you why elections are rigged in this country. There are a lot of faulty things along the line. For instance, do you know that when there is an election, INEC does not have permanent staff? The INEC rec in any state is supposed to elect, or rather appoint, ad hoc staff. Do you know these ad hoc staff are sold to politicians? People own their local... Yes,
sold, you said.
Sold. I use the word sold. Because I have been chairman of NRC and chairman of PDP in a state, so I know what I'm talking about. The highest bidder in a particular zone, if there are 2, 3 strong politicians, they split it. And heavy money is paid so that you bring in either what do you call them? The national, what are these boys? Youth service boys, or anybody. Some even bring their office staff, and they are the INEC staff wearing INEC level.
So the introduction of the youth corps members doesn't change the equation?
No, it doesn't change anything. I tell you honestly, maybe if it changes anything, it's about 5 or 10%. The element of corruption in this society is so fundamental. And that's what I want to talk about. It's so fundamental that we need a surgical operation. It's not just people going on campaign and talking of corruption. When you were there, what did you do? Because it comes back to the logical problem that in this election, there are about 12 or 14 presidential candidates. But with due respect to the other, there are 2 main presidential candidates, Buhari and President Jonathan. So it gives Nigerian people the ability to have a serious assessment. And one advantage Nigerians have in this situation is that both of them, President Jonathan has been there for 4 years. Buhari had been there. In fact, so it is easier for, especially people in the press, or the so-called civil liberties organization, to have a surgical diagnosis of what each of them did when he was there, to know whether he will be able to do something. For instance, Buhari was Commissioner of Petroleum when Obasanjo was president. 90 oil blocks were given out when he was there. 80 went to Northern Ireland. That is not corruption, it is eruption. He left and had a coup to destabilize and remove a democratically elected government in 1983. He became president, or what they call head of state. He was head of state. The first speech he made, if people can collect it, I don't know whether this station was in existence then, the first speech he made was accusing Ekweme of being involved in everything NPN did. He arrested Ekwueme, put him in Kirikiri prison, and took Shagari and put in a guest house. What did he do? Muslim president, Northerner. Muslim vice president, Northerner. So to Buhari, Nigeria means nothing to him. Then after that, those who hoisted him on Nigerians overthrew him in 1985? No, not, I think 85 years. They overthrew him. And I have it on good authority. They overthrew him because of incompetence.
But you know,
Babangida is still alive. They should tell Nigerians, why was this man overthrown after 18 months in office?
But you know that there are many, especially his party, they'll sharply disagree with you.
No, they have every right.
No,
I'm prepared to take them on a debate. It is a challenge either to Lai Mohammed or to my brother Joe Igbo, he comes from my town. I'm prepared to take, because Nigerians need facts.
No, I mean,
it's no more a matter of propaganda.